Hi there folks, welcome back to another video in this Collapse video game series where we make little games using Python and the Pygame module. In the last few videos we created the Collapse game. We've gotten pretty far. We've only got a couple finishings to do. We basically want to put the info panel on and the end game screen and a way to save the best score if possible. I'm going to try and squeeze this all into one video. It might be a bit long, but it'll either be one long video or one video and then one very short video. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our main game class, and I'm going to update and include some new attributes there. So in our game settings at the top, we're going to include an attribute called self.GameOver, and we're going to set that to false, right? We're also going to include an attribute at the top there. It's going to be self.topBar. And that's going to be set to 40. So that's ultimately going to be where our info panel will be situated on our game. Okay. As we scroll down our main game class, I just want you to follow along with me. I'm going to be doing a lot of things. A lot of these functions I'm going to be including now are actually interconnected. So I'm going to be going from top to bottom as we go along. Basically rounding off this whole project. Here above our colorblind button, we want to include a new button. We're going to call it self.NewGameIcon image, and we're going to call the info-panel function. The text we're going to enter into it is going to say new. Why are you not? Thank you. New game. Color is going to be a gray button. It's going to have black text on it, and the size will be 100 by 40. No, 40. All right. Self.NewGameIcon image. Okay, and now in our button setup section, above the colorblind buttons, we want to add the self.NewGameIcon rect. And that's going to be equal to self.NewGameIcon image, NewGameIcon image get rect. And the top left of that rectangle will be equal to 1095 by 0. Okay. Then we want to append this new game button to my buttons list that we created in the last video. Okay, so this does have an impact, so we might as well go and change it now quickly. If you go down to our input method, we have when we're clicking the left mouse button, we're checking that if self.button 0 is equal to. So now the colorblind button is no longer the only item in the list. It's now the second item in the list. So therefore, we need to change this to say if self.button is 1 is equal to . So now we are still referring to the colorblind button, as you'll see, still working. Fantastic. Okay. The next thing I want to change while we're busy with this here, before we create the new game function and draw the new game button to the screen, there's a couple of attributes we still need to add into our information panel. So we're going down, so game groups, there's information panel. In my information panel, I want to include a self.topScore, which will be equal to TS, right? We'll deal with that in a moment. Self.score will be equal to 0. Self.current score will be equal to 0. Self.possible score will be equal to 0. Self.colors will be equal to a function called CountColors. We'll get to that as well. CountColors, and we need to pass it an argument. We'll get to that in a moment. Self.colorScore will be equal to, and that's a dictionary, 1, 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, and That's the 5 color scores. Okay, let's do the first thing. Okay, the first thing we need to do is the TS, self.topScore. So the TS, we're actually including it into our attributes here. TS. So when we call the main game class, when we create the main game class, we have to actually include an extra attribute called TS. Let's write down at the bottom here of the TS function. And there we're going to pass it top score. All right, so where do we get top score from? Well, over here we're going to make a function that's going to call our top score. So we're going to read top score function. Okay, read top score. That's a function in our utility functions that we still need to make. It's going to be a quick one. There we go. So we created a function called ReadTopScore. So let's quickly go create that function. We're going to create it underneath the info panel. Okay, define function. We're going to call it ReadTopScore. ReadTopScore. Okay. All right, this is straightforward. So we're going to do a try. Okay, we're going to try with open top score.text r plus is read and write as file. Right, a will equal to file.read.split. Okay. Return int a2. Except return 0. So basically that function does is it checks to see if there is a top score, if it can open a file called topscore.txt, and if there is no file as topscore.txt, it's just going to return as 0. And if there is a topscore.txt file in your folder, it'll open it as a read. I believe that's read and write. Well, I think it's read only. Either way, it doesn't matter. That's not what we're going to write to it. So it's just reading the file, reading in the top score, and it's returning the score to your top score here, which gets added to my new main game class. Okay. So we've handled that. We've handled that. Let's go back up to our main game class. Back up to our main game class under our attributes. So we've dealt with the TS, we've got self.score, self.currentScore, self.possibleScore, self.colors. We need to create a function for the self.countColors. So my CountColors is going to be a utility function we're going to create underneath our info panel. So define CountColors, and when we count colors, we need an argument. We're going to pass it grid. Okay. Color count will be equal to 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0. Okay, so it's a dictionary. Now we're going to go for row in grid, for item in row. If item active, if the item is active, color count item value plus equals 1. Right. So what we're doing is we're cycling through the grid, and throughout the grid we're checking each item. So we're calling out we're checking if the item is still set to active. So if it's true, then we're going to go into our color count dictionary and we're going to add that item's value. Right? So each item's value. So according to the different colors, remember when we created each cell, where is that create grid? Where is the create cell grid? Each cell has a value. So if it's a 1, then it's yellow. If it's green, if it's 2, then it's red, or it's whatever. All right, so it has a value. So according to that value, we're going to be adding that cell into into this color count dictionary according to that value, so 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and then we're adding +1 to that. All right. And once we've done that, we're going to say we're going to return a list of our color count values. Color count 1, color count 2, and we're going to 3, 4, 5. 5, 4. What just happened now? Oh, I hit the enter button at the same time. And 3. Okay. So we're going to return that grid. So let's go back up to our main game class. Main game class attributes. Where is it? There we go. Self.CountColors. We need to pass to it the self.cells. Okay, so then we get our self.colors. Okay. Next thing we need to do in our main game loop. All right, what we need to do now is actually find a way to actually calculate what our current score is and what our possible scores is and what our score is. So this gets done in 3 different places. So the possible score we can deal with first. So our self.possible score, if we go down to our, where was it? It was the utility functions, find adjacent tiles. In the adjacent tiles, focus adjacent tiles. My apologies. Focus adjacent tiles. Right, for row in grid. Below this last for loop, there was a, we need to go to our game dot possible score equal to 0. So we need to reset the game dot possible score. So then right, reset it back to 0. Then we're going to say for num in range len focus cells -1. Game dot possible score plus equals calculate score game dot possible score. All right, so that's a utility function that we quickly need to create to calculate the score. So basically, this is our scoring system. We're going to create this function right above the CountColors. This is one where you can change the way the game scores. Calculate score. Right. So if the score is less than 3, return 1. If score is less than or equal to 6, return 2. If score is less than or equal to 9, return 4. If score is less than or equal to 12, return 8. If score is less than or equal to 15, return 16 points. And if score is less than or equal to 18, return 32. Else return 64. So what this does is, according to the number of cells that get passed to this thing, so if this thing gets past 5 cells, hang on, let me say that again. So what it'll do is it calculates for each number. So if it's past 1, okay, no possible scores, 15. So if the score is now 1 and it adds another cell to it, the score becomes 2. If it adds another cell to it, the score becomes 3. Then once the scores reach 3, then the score that gets doubled, then it'll be 5, 7, 9. Then it'll double again, and it'll be 13, 14, 15. So the more cells that you include into that gets added into this game dot possible score, the higher this possible score returns. Right. So that's our game dot possible score. And and that will update our main game attribute for possible score constantly. Okay, so that's being updated now correctly. Happily, we're happy with that. The next thing we can do, what we can do now quickly, let's just print that out. Let's do it here. Print self.possible_score. Okay. Let's just let it run and see how it's working. You see there's 3. So here is, where's a block with 2 cells? So my score should only be 1, right? Here's a block with 4 cells, so my score should be 3. Okay, here's a block with 5 cells, so my score should be 5. There we go. There's a block with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cells, so my score should be 11. Okay, seems to be working. Okay, so we can just remove that quickly. Let's just comment it out. We can check the other scores as well. Of the possible scores is now being calculated. So the next thing we need to be calculating in our main game attribute is our self dot score. Right, so what we need to do, the next thing is actually to update our actual score once we clicked on a cell, and we do that when we clear the adjacent cells. So we go down to our clearAdjacentTiles or cells function here. And here, once we've clicked on a cell, we say north is equal to false. All right, there we're going to go with game.currentScore plus equals CalculateScore game.currentScore. Yeah. And we need to do this for each direction that we go in. Yeah. That will then update our game.currentScore. So let me go up to my draw method, and we can change that to currentScore, and we can view the effects of what we've just done. So if I click that one, it's 5. Okay, so now my new score is 5. 7, 11, 83. We've missed something out here. Current score. Oh, my current score needs to be zeroed. Of course, we need to zero out the current score. We go back up to our input method. So let's go back to our input method. Over here, my mouse button, once we've clicked, we're then going to say, okay, cool. So self.score plus equals self.currentScore. Remember, we calculated the current score. The current score gets calculated when you do the click. It calculates all the blocks that are, gets updated, right? Once we've cleared the adjacent cells, we have a new current score. So self.score gets updated with that value. Then we want to go to self.colorScore. Okay, remember we created this dictionary attribute item over here, this color score dictionary item. We just want to track the score that we receive from each color. I find it quite interesting for later on in the game. So color whole value plus equals self.currentScore. Okay, and then we're going to zero out that current score is equal to 0, and self.colors will be equal to CountColors, and then we are going to update the remaining cell colors. Okay, all that is for the info panel. Once we get to it, you will see it there. Okay. I'm just going to include this line here. It's not going to have any effect at the moment, but we don't have to come back to do it later. Self.buttons. Remember, we included the NewGame button rectangle to the the buttons list earlier on. Right now all we're doing is we are just making provision for if we have to click on that button, what happens? Self.NewGame. Of course, we don't have a NewGame function method yet, so if we have to click on that, it'll be a problem, but we'll get to it shortly. Okay, so we've done that, All right, let's try this again quickly. So if I have to click on that, my new score is not being updated. Oh, what have we done? Okay, so the issue is that we're not actually looking, we're trying to print our current score to the screen. We'll never see the change because it gets zeroed out, remember? Self.score, is that correct? Self.score, no, it should be a small s. Self.score. As we go now, if I hit that, I have a score of 5, 7, 18, 20. There we go, it seems to be working. So now we're updating our score in the background. Okay, we're updating our score in the background. That's fantastic. The next thing we need to do, and it's a fairly large thing to do, I'm going to try and do this as quick as possible because there's a lot of writing code. We've already done all the background information that's needed for this. We're going to create the information panel now. So the info panel is going to be, we've already created the info panel. What method? Info panel is here. So inside my info panel method here, I'm going to create some buttons, some items. Where self.score image is equal to info panel method. I'm going to use score self.score black white right. Then we're going to self.GameScreen.split self.score image 0, 0. Okay. If we run that, we should get, okay, we get this here. That's the first thing. But we do have a problem because we've still got our cells coming up behind it. We don't want that. So to deal with that, before we carry on, to deal with that, we need to, so what we actually need to do is come back to our setup of the main game function. We've got the self.topbar here. Here we will calculate the number of columns. You see we put it in brackets already. We actually want to say self.sHeight minus self.topbar, right? Topbar. So the first thing that'll do is the bottom bar there. That's not what we want, but it is what we want. We're going to shift everything down now. I just need to find where exactly it is. If I can remember exactly, I think it was in the drawer. No, it was in the cell create grid function. Create cell create grid. Yes, in the cell create grid function. So as we go down, it's in my create cell function. Where's my create cell? Create cell grid over here. Yes, right here. There. We actually want to, in my rectangle, 40 plus. Okay, that pushes everything down if I have it correct. Just like that. We've broken it. We've broken it. Okay, it's broken, but it's not completely broken. There was one more spot that we still need to remember. So when we come here in our focusAdjacentCells, we still need to remember that we did it over here too. That's why there was a brackets there. My while pause. Okay. Check that now. Okay, so we select all the right cells. That's correct. That's all working. Everything's working. It's all back to normal. Great. Yeah, fantastic. The next thing I'm going to do is, okay, we're going to go back to our infoPanel method that we're creating all those infoPanel things, which is over there, infoPanel. Okay, I'll try to do this as quick as possible. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items. 7 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, starting with the top, we got top score image. Top score image. The top score image is going to be self.topscore, and that's going to be positioned at 155. Top score image. Okay. Top score image, top score, yes. And the next one is going to be our possible score image. Possible score image. And we need to change that. That's going to say best. That's going to say selection. And that's going to be possible score. And the position for that is going to be 310. And possible score image. Right. The next one is going to be, I'm going to copy paste this, and then I'll leave it up for 30 seconds so that you can, or 5 seconds, 10 seconds, so you can pause it and you can copy it in on your side. So there's the green cell. Okay, let me just make it space here so it'll be easier to see what I've changed. Right. Then it'll be the red cell. Red cell. Then it will be the blue cell. Right. Then it's going to be the yellow cell. Right. And then it's going to be the purple cell. We have the purple cell here. Okay. Okay. And then after that, above the colorblind button, we're going to have self.GameScreen.lit self.NewGame icon image self.NewGame icon rect screen. Okay, so I have all these images up here quickly. So we've got the score, best, selection. As you can see, as we move our mouse over items, it's already pre-calculating what our score will be, and it's updating. We have the current score of all of our cells. If I hit the red button, my cell score is already updated. That's fantastic. That's really working very well. Very, very well indeed. Very well indeed. That's all working. We change the color. Okay, cool. Everything is updating as it should. Okay. There's the yellow ones. Yellow is updating. Blue is updating. Red is updating. Green is updating. Purple is updating. My selection, my current score is updating. Okay. The only thing that's not updating currently is my best score. Okay. If we click color, it works, but if we click new game, we should crash. And the reason why it crashes is because we haven't built that method yet. That is good news. Okay, so the info panel bar has been built, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm going to leave it up. Sorry, wait. I'm going to leave it here for a second so you can just finish copying it. Because, you know, it's basically just creating a bunch of buttons. Fun times, man. Fun times. Okay, the next thing we need to do is in my update method. Right. Why did I have that, do you think? For row in self.cells, for item in row, if item active is equal to false, right? Item value is then equal to 0. Okay. The last thing we want to check quickly is we want to go and say if self.score is greater than self.top-score. Right, so if my score is greater than my self.top-score, then my self.top-score is equal to self.score. Alright, so that automatically updates my top score, my best score. We can check that out quickly. And we'll see my best score is still 0, my score is 0. Now my best score and my score is combined together. Right. We can now exit. I wonder, did we build that? We did build that function earlier. No, we didn't. Okay. So currently we're not saving our top score or best score in any way for us to be able to see what the new best score will be or what the old one was when we last ran the game. But we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, we've done all the updating of scores. Let's just build out that NewGame method quickly. So here above my update method, we're going to go define NewGame. In my NewGame, we're going to go writeNewTop. Here's that function I was just talking about a minute ago. Self.top-score, self.score. Okay. Self.score is equal to 0. Self.colorScore be equal to the dictionary 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0. Okay, we're basically zeroing out everything again. We're going to self.cells will be equal to create cell grid. Posit 0, self.top bar. We don't actually need to posit those items. Self.num rows, self.num columns. Self.cell size, and then posit the self again. Then what we do, know where you know. Then we want to go and say self.colors will be equal to CountColors, self.cells, right? And then self.infoPanels basically gets updated, self.update, self.GameOver we set to false again, and then self.draw just to redraw the screen. Right, new top score. So we're going to go down to the bottom. We're going to include that utility function for writing a new score. That's right at second to bottom. It's pretty close to the bottom. It's after the reading top score. So let's scroll down. Check valid selection. Read top score. Just after that one, we want to define a new function. We're going to say write new top score. two arguments, the top score and total score. Okay, so if total score is greater than or equal to top score with open top score dot text, open it as a W for write as file dot write if top score is equal to string total score. Okay, so now if we run this, we have all of our stuff. If I can just click on those things, what we should get now is, okay, so I have a new best score, 169. I'm going to click new game and my best score should stay. My best score stays at 169. I'm now going to close this and I'm going to rerun it and my best score should still be there, 169. The reason for that is we've created a file, a text file, which is now saved in our best score data. The last thing we need to do, I think we need to do now, is to check for game over. We need to do a check for game over. It's going to be a utility function right at the bottom here. It's also a very large function. No, not that large, not yet. So under my writeNewTopScore, we're going to do a check diff check for game over, and we're going to pass it the grid. All right. So for I row in enumerate grid, for j atom in enumerate row. So if I does not equal 0, so if grid I minus 1 j value is equal to grid I j value and grid I minus 1 j active is equal to grid I j grid I j active and grid I j active, right? So with all that, is true, if all that, we're going to return false. I could actually have repurposed a different function for this. I probably should have. I'm not going to do it right now. I want to get this one done for you. I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this section of code here, and like we did above, we're going to paste it there. We're going to say if I is less than the length of the grid minus 1, right? And I plus 1, I plus 1, okay. Now we're going to do the same for both of these lines now. I'm going to do the same for J. J, length grid, the first list in the grid. That's +1. That's +1. Delete that. We're going to delete that. So J -1. Delete that. It's going to be J -1. Delete that. Okay. Otherwise, if it does all those checks and comes back, none of those checks return a false, we're going to say return true. So that's our check to see if the game's over. So in my main game methods, self.update, just underneath my top score, we're going to perform the check. We're going to do a check there. We're going to say self.gameOver is equal to checkForGameOver, self.cells. Yeah. All right, we are down to our last two sections of work that needs to be done. We've just written out our checkForGameOver function, which will check basically that if there's any more moves playable or not. It returns true if the game can still carry on, or it will return false, and then the game is suddenly in a game over state. What we need to do is we need to go to our input function, our main game input method, move cells input, and we're going to include a little check. If event.button is equal to 1, over here, we're then going to include a little line that's going to say if not self.gameOver. Right. If not self.gameOver, then we can only perform these. So basically, if self.gameOver is equal to false, then we can perform those actions. Else, but we want the NewGame button to remain behind. So the NewGame button can stay. We can still access that one. Yeah. So that's the first thing we need to do. Sorry, I need to put this back into view presentation mode. So what we did is we went to our main game method for input. We went in here, under my event for mouse button, clicking the mouse button. Under if event.button is equal to 1, we included a check to say that if not self.gameOver. Then all of these items had to shift over one indentation, and then we added an else, and the NewGame button must still reflect, so we can still click on it. Okay. The next thing we need to do is we go to our draw method. In our method draw, okay, we can delete that line now. So in our draw method, under self.infoPanels, we need to include the following. If self.gameOver, right? We want to self.GameScreen dot fill with black. Okay. And then we want to create an end screen, which is going to be endGameScreen, which is a function that we need to create. Okay, so we need to go ahead and create that function, and we're going to do it right at the bottom. This is a very big function, so it's going to take a little while. Let's try and get through it quickly. Okay, diff endGameScreen. It's going to be GameScreen, and cell color scores. Yeah. So first we're going to create a surface. It's going to be Pygame.surface, and it's going to be 400 by 800. Okay. Then we're going to surf.fill, and we want that surface to be filled in with gray, the gray color. Right. First I'm going to go with, okay, I'm going to type out the first one, but I'm going to copy the rest if that's all right with you guys. We have the best score. It's going to be equal to the infoPanel function. F for best score. We're going to put it with L justification, 15, and space it with spaces. Plus special format game.topScore. Right. Dot L justification 10 and space. Right, so that's basically our text message. Just gonna put into it. Right, comma, white, black, 350. Okay, that's my best score. We're going to create a rectangle for the best score. Rect will be equal to best score dot get rect. Top left equal to 50. And 50 plus surf dot get height. It's floored by 8 multiplied by 0. So that's its position. Its y position. What have I done there? Top left. Okay. There, I've missed out a parenthesis there. Surf.get height. Okay. Then surf.blit best score. Then best score rect. Okay. So in order to test this out, we're going to go to our main game function, our main game class. Self.GameOver, we're going to say it is true. Okay, and if I run this now, I should have the screen up on. No, I don't. Because in my update method, self.update, where's my self.update? I just need to switch that one off quickly. My checkForGameOver state. I need to switch that off quickly. NewGame is missing 2 required positional arguments. So where's my endGameScreen in my draw method? I need the game screen, so that is self.GameScreen, and then I need self.ColorScore, ColorScore. I believe that's it. It's not being drawn to the screen yet. Why not? Why is it not drawing to the screen? Oh, I need to return the surface. In-game screen, right? Return surf. Okay, let's try again. Still nothing. Of course, in my actual draw method, I actually need to be calling that somewhere, putting it somewhere on the screen, which is what I'm not doing. So I'm calling in screen, yes, that. In my self.draw method, in screen. So then below this, I need to actually say self.GameScreen.blit end screen, right? Then my position is going to be self.GameScreen.getWidth by 2 minus my end screen dot get width divided by 2. So that's my X position. Then my Y position needs to be self.GameScreen.get height 2 minus minus my end screen dot get height divided by 2. Okay, I still need to draw the self.GameScreen.split self.NewGame icon image self.NewGame icon rect to the screen. So if we were to run now, we're already in, there we go, that's what we're looking for. So this will be our end screen. We've got the best score there, we've got our new game there. If I click the new game, then we'll be playing again. Okay. Obviously, because the game is starting off in a game over state. So we know that's working. We're going to leave it like that for now while we finish building off the rest of the end screen. So as I mentioned, I'm going to copy paste the rest of the end screen. You can pause the video now if you'd like to and try and wait. Let me do the second one, and then you'll see where I'm going with the end screen. Okay, so we've got the best score showing up. The next thing we have showing is the score, the regular score of the player. Okay, so we've got the regular score showing. I'm just going to minimize that. And then the third item, the rest of the items going down is the actual color scores. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. You can go ahead and pause right there and see if you can go ahead and complete the rest of the screen. Right, there I've gone and copied in the rest of the things, of the scores. I hope you remembered as you were putting them in to remember to increase this little line here, the Y coordinate. So what we've done is we've taken the surface of the end screen, split it up amongst 8 sections. Basically each panel is being put into a different section of the in-game screen. And you should end up with something like this. I was struggling to get the zeros all lined up nicely. It didn't bother me too much. And there we go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a working collapse game. I hope you enjoyed this video series. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you enjoyed playing this game as much as I enjoyed making it and as much as I enjoyed playing it. It's always fun. It's a great time waster. It's always fun to try and see if you can top your last score. Just so you know, my last top score was over 10,000. With the scoring system as you see it as it is right now, I challenge you to beat that top score legitimately and come give me a comment, see what's the best score you can come up with. Once again, thank you very much for following me in this series, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Let me just, before we go, just one thing before we go. Just going to minimize some of these. CheckForGameOver is fun. writeNewTopScore is fun. The ReadTopScore is fun. The CountColors is fun. CalculateScore, the infoPanel is correct. The checkValidScore selection is correct. clearAdjacentCells is working. focusAdjacentTiles is working. The create cell grid is working. Create colorblind image is working. Create image function is working. My draw method is working. And my info panels is working. So in my update method, we commented out that line. Remember, that must not be a comment. So my update method is working. My new game method is working. My input methods, my move cells, the run. There we go, folks. There's the game collapse. I hope you enjoy it. Cheers.